Hi.
You're recording.
I'm here. We decided to go ahead and sit and relax in the warm living room that's just been painted, and
Right.
this is our warm studio.
Our warm studio, yeah.
Our warm studio, yeah.
You know, I was thinking about putting together, because I got all that extra stuff we got from Memphis, putting together a nice little sign for us to put behind us, and then I thought, now you just painted your walls. Probably not a good idea to pound something on your walls.
Right. We got a few more things on the board out there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Another howling wolf, a couple more suns. Got Sonny Burgess out there, working out pretty good. Costing me a lot of money, but it's working out pretty good. I got something downstairs you haven't seen either.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's a...
Blow up doll?
Guess what it is? It's a
Blow up doll.
It's a poster, 3 foot by 2 foot.
Yeah.
$1 Million Quartet.
Oh, really? You got one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, we should have got
It's
one.
all
over
rolled
there.
up, came in a tube, so
Yeah.
of course you go to look at it, it just rolls right back up again. So I got it laying on a flat table, and I'll put a piece of cardboard behind it or
Why
something.
didn't we think of that when we were at Sun Studio?
Because I think the ones down there cost me a lot more than this repo I got from...
Did you check how much price they were?
Oh yeah, this only cost me about $10 here.
How much they charge them there?
I think they were almost $20 and more, depending on
Just for a regular...
how big you got.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, all right.
Now this one works. This one looks pretty good.
Because I like to get one of their CDs too of the $1 Million Quartet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so.
You know, I never did look online. They were what, $18 down there. All those CDs were $18, weren't they?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't even know what they sang.
I don't
Did
either.
they all just sing together? I missed all that.
I think they just kicked around.
Just kicked around.
And stuff. Because I mean, Elvis sang a little. That's all right. Was it That's All Right, Mama, or whatever it was? He said that Jackie Wilson. He said he liked the way Jackie Wilson did it better than him.
Would have been the actual studio, and back here would have been our control room. Still is today. All those devices I showed you upstairs would have been located back there. We have all of our equipment back there now is both modern and vintage, just depending on what people are looking for to do here. It's pretty cool. The ceiling structure is all original from the 50s. Sam and Marion installed it themselves. The design came out of a popular science magazine, so when we record, we have the same acoustics. The light fixtures are all original, as is the tile floor, so it's pretty cool. It's kind of like being in a little 1950s time capsule, which I enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to pick it back up with 1954, which is when Elvis was invited to come back and record for the very first time. Sam was working on a project with Scotty Moore on guitar, Bill Black on bass, and they were originally in a country band together, and Sam was looking for a frontman or a vocalist, and Marion is the person that suggested that kid, Elvis Presley, that had been hanging around the studio for a full year. Sam breaks down, decides to give him a shot. Elvis comes down. He's so excited, in fact, that Marion said that before she could hang up the telephone, he was already through the front door. So there you go. Some cool things to note about the space. There's some X's, and I'm going to get some participants, if you don't mind, or I'll just squeeze through. It's fine. Just so you get an idea. This is where Scotty Moore would have stood. Right here is where Bill Black would have been on bass. And over here, which you can tell is the most loved X, and I promise everyone will get a chance to stand on it. I have some people that try to shove me off of it occasionally while I'm still talking. You can tell it's been loved on. This is the Elvis X. It's pretty awesome. Sam came back and told us where everybody stood before he died, which is, thank goodness he did. 1954, they come down, they start working on country ballads together. By the way, they all would have been facing each other in this triangle shape, and the microphone would have been in the middle. And they start working on country ballads, not really getting anywhere. Sam Phillips tells them to take a break. They come back, they start working on an Arthur Big Boy Crudup song called That's All Right. And that's when he hears what he's looking for. He hits record, he takes it down to this guy. This guy here is Dewey Phillips. Dewey Phillips is of no relation to Sam, but they are buddies. He ran the hottest radio show in the Southeast called Red, Hot, and Blue. It was ran out of the Hotel Chiska, and he had kind of a wild man DJ style. He played both black and white artists and also blues and country in the same show, which was pretty crazy back then, especially back then. And so you'll hear a little bit of the stylization that I'm talking about in the recording I'm going to play for you. Imagine July 8th, 1954, being a teenager in the area, hearing this for the very first time.
Oh, yes, sir, good people, so Phillips. Let's bring the hottest cotton picking thing in the country. Red Hot Blue coming through WHBQ and Hotel Chiska on the magazine floor. Ain't that right, Diz? That's right. Why you call Sam Putney? No, I gotta call Sam, Diz. Ah, Pete Picker. How you get along there, Ern? Didn't see Ern. How you get along, buddy? Pretty good, partner. Get you a wheelbarrow load of mad hogs, run them through the front door, and tell them Philip sent you from Red, Hot, and Blue. I'm telling you, I got a new song we're gonna play here. They're gonna cut loose this new song.
Okay, so kids went nuts for that. In fact, one woman was on the tour and she said that they were driving around looking for a payphone to request it again, and they were just lined up with teenagers, so you couldn't even do it. So they played that song 14 times in a 3-hour show. The very next day, Elvis Presley was signed to a 3-year contract with Sun Records, and everyone was super excited about it for a little while. But Elvis really only remained on the label for about 17 months. There were a lot of reasons for that. Sam Phillips sold that contract to RCA for $35,000. Lots of people think that's pretty crazy. However, Sam actually referred to it as his best business decision ever, and I actually agree with him for several reasons. Elvis went on to RCA. It was a national record label. They were able to promote and fund and back him in the fashion to make him a huge success and rock star. And Sam Phillips was able to take that money, invest back in his company, pay off all of his debts. He was struggling to keep the doors open. He hired a couple extra employees to help out around here. It was just him and Marion. And then he was able to sign and promote some really cool artists. Artists like the guy that I was playing when you guys came down the stairs, Carl Perkins. Carl's pretty awesome for a lot of reasons. He had the first gold record for Sun with hit Blue Suede Shoes. I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. And also he was a very large influence on the Beatles. Paul McCartney actually stated that without Carl Perkins there would have been no Beatles. And in fact, they covered more songs of Carl Perkins than anybody else. So we're going to take a listen to Blue Suede Shoes. So get excited. Here we go.
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but get off of my blue suede shoe.
Okay, someone else that got their start on the label is the guy with the rose above his head, my personal favorite, the man in
Johnny.
black. That's Johnny Cash. John never had a gold record for Sun, but he was the most consistent hit maker of anybody else on the label. He had hits like Hey Porter, Cry Cry Cry, Folsom Prison, and I Walk the Line. I'm going to show you a really cool trick he did with the guitar, and bear with me because I am not a musician. I'm just a better storyteller. But I'm going to try this, and I'll at least show you what he did. He was trying to create the sound of like a snare drum or a train. You'll hear it in the recording I'll play for you, and I'll try demonstrating it. Sometimes it works, and sometimes I fall short, so bear with me. He would weave a dollar bill through the strings just like this and choke down on the neck like this. And when he would, it would create that sort of snare drum, train sound. You'll hear what I'm talking about when I play it. Here we go. That's how that's done. It works better if you use a $20 bill.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that bind. Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Okay, so someone else that got their start on the label is the man in the very back with the sunglasses on, looking cool. Roy Orbison. Now, he wasn't totally comfortable with the Memphis sound. He was only on the label for like maybe a year. But he did have a hit, and it was a dance hit. So you guys, feel free to rock out. Here we go.
Hey,
Baby.
jump over here when you do the
Ooby
ooby dooby. I'm shining in the ooby dooby, ooby dooby, ooby dooby, ooby dooby, ooby dooby, ooby dooby, ooby dooby.
Wow, wow.
Exactly. If you missed the title of that song, it's called Ooby Dooby. It's very complicated. All right, so that brings us to the most famous photograph in rock and roll history. It's this one right here. And the story behind it is the man in the center holding the guitar is actually Carl Perkins. Some people think it's Bruce Springsteen. It's not. It's Carl. Carl Perkins was in here recording his hit Matchbox. To his left is actually Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee at the time was a session pianist. He was not well known. He was making $12 a day to play piano on anyone's recordings that came into the studio. It's 1956. Elvis Presley comes by. He's been away from the label for about a year, and he's coming by just to say to some friends. Johnny Cash comes by. He's coming by to pick up his paycheck, and he's out Christmas shopping with his first wife Vivian. And Sam Phillips calls up the newspaper, has a photographer come down. They get this shot. Here's in the newspaper the next day with the title, $1 Million Quartet. That's where the title comes from. So, doing what these guys do best, they break out in a jam session. Sam Phillips doing what he does best, he hits record. Pretty controversial. He's not supposed to be recording Elvis any longer, but luckily it didn't stop him. And bits and pieces were leaked out after Elvis Presley's death. The full thing was released in 2003. You can pick up a copy to take home with you. And I'm going to play a part that's pretty cool. It's Elvis Presley talking about coming back from Las Vegas and watching another performer perform his songs way better than he could himself. So, take a listen to this. The artist he's actually talking about is Jackie Wilson.
This guy in Las Vegas, Billy Ward and Dominoes. Billy Ward and his Dominoes. There's a guy out there who's done a thing on me. Don't be cruel. He tried so hard until he got much better, boy. Much better than that record of mine. Oh, no, wait now. I mean, it's this way. He was real slender. He was a colored guy. He got up there and he said, he had a little slow with me. Started off. He said, what kind of key did I do it in? Oh, what key did I do Don't Be Cruel in? He said, hey, you know I can be found sitting home all alone. If you can't come around, at least the telephone.
Okay, so that's actually Jerry Lee on the keys, by the way. Something interesting about this photograph that you can't see, that I think is pretty cool, is there's a fifth person. She is seated on top of the piano right here. She was a Las Vegas showgirl that Elvis Presley brought back with him. And you can tell if you look at Jerry Lee's eyes exactly where they're going. Which brings me to good old Jerry. He's still alive, still recording and still performing and still getting married. This year he married lucky number 7. So we'll see how that goes. I will tell you that she's older than his first wife, and I don't think she's his cousin. So while he's not the best role model, he is a fabulous rock star. So much so that he had the 2 greatest hits on Sun, with Great Balls of Fire being number 1 and a Whole Lot of Shakin' being number 2. So let's do some Great Balls of Fire. By the way, you can get arrested if you don't rock out to the song.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. About your love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill. That's the greatest, just great balls of fire. I'll let you know what I'm gonna find. You came along and woo, now honey, I changed my mind. Just look at mine.
Okay, so 1959, the lease is up on the space of the building. Sam Phillips feels like music is moving in a different direction. He buys a larger building. That's called Lonely Weekends. That's the last song that was ever recorded here by Charlie Rich, just so you know. Anyway. Anyway, and it was finished up where I'm about to talk about. Part of it was actually recorded here, and part of it was finished up at the Phillips Recording Service, which was on Madison Avenue, which is what I was getting to. Sam Phillips moves up to Madison Avenue, purchases a larger space over there, opens up the Phillips Recording Service. It's still an active studio today, and it's still being run by his sons. This place was left empty for a while. It wasn't until 1985 some of the old guys got together. They put out an album called Class of 55, which was John, Jerry, Roy, and Carl. And they had a hit called Train from Memphis, and it brought attention back to this space. We started opening up during the day, giving tours, and recording in the evenings at night. It's been a pretty great success. We have a television show called The Sun Sessions, which is on PBS. It features a lot of up-and-coming artists that are pretty cool. Look for it whenever you get back to wherever home is. We've had a lot of modern artists come through. We've had Liz Fair, Bonnie Raitt, Beck, Maroon 5, Stray Cats, Henry Rollins, Reverend Horton Heat, Ringo Starr, Chris Isaak, Lisa Marie Presley, Grace Potter and the Nocturnals, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and many more than that. That's just the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And this little band from Ireland called U2. Anyway, they recorded several songs from Rattle and Hum here, and in fact, their drum kit's in the back. And I'm gonna play a song off of that album for you called When Love Comes to Town, which also features B.B. King. And he was one of the original people to record here in the very early 50s, so that's pretty cool. But before I do that, the coolest part, and the most fun part, and the interactive part of the tour, this here is a Shure 55 microphone. It's one of the 5 mics that was used to record here in the early in the 50s in general. Sam Phillips was kind enough to give it back to us. It probably should be in a museum, but it's not. And you get to come up and pose with it. Get your best rock and roll stance out. We recommend standing in the Elvis spot, but you don't have to be Elvis if you don't want to. It's really your dream. In the meantime, I'm going to be in the front to answer any questions that you may have in Marion's office. And if you enjoyed yourself today, feel free to tip your tour guide.
What?
Get posed by the mic.
Trying to get back over to my wife here.
Here for a sec.
Don't
Look at that. Look at
Don't
it. See,
worry,
we
I
got
got
a picture of you guys right in front of the Sun Studio. That's kind of cool.
Oh, that's way up.
Here, look my way.
Oh, okay.
Look my way.
Bob's grandma.
What? I don't know. You lost. I remember what you were talking about, but I can't remember the song.
Yeah, I think it was Don't Be Cruel.
That's All Right is what the first song
Right.
he ever recorded for Sun. But
I think it was Don't Be Cruel. I think Jackie Wilson.
yeah,
redid
but I
it or
remember
something.
we were talking about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember talking about that.
I mean,
See what happened is
I've got it. All I got to do is watch that little video again.
what we're doing is we're getting old. Well, I am getting old, and we forget what we talk about from one week to the next.
Yeah.
Like, what did we do last week? Oh, we
We're
went through.
old
We
and
did the
getting
same
older
thing.
is what we are.
Get
Right?
older, getting older.